Whether you're picking and grinning or just picking or just grinning, grab a drink, pull up a seat. It's time for Roots Music Rambling. Turn it up. How you like the new digs?
I'm digging it. Truly. I mean, first thing I saw, obviously, besides, you know, you was the backdrop there. It looks good.
Yeah, I've got my little Dwight Yoakam 3 pairs signed album and of course our logo over my shoulder for those people who can see this on the interwebs. And little backlighting, little recessed little LED stuff going back there, and I've got the nice new feature wall or whatever they call it beside me with the wood planks, and so yeah. Nice little new studio space here in the basement of Karen's house, which will soon be our house together. So
very nice.
Yeah, so that's coming up in the next few months. It's going to be a slow transition, but
yeah,
I went ahead and set up the old studio down here and got a new desk and everything. So it's I'm loving it. So there we go.
Maybe one day I'll have a new space.
Maybe you will. Maybe we can get you some a bit. You need more depth. We need a little bit more depth, and so we can get more lighting and stuff in there. But it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. So
I can dream.
You can ask for shit for Christmas.
I can dream.
Okay. Speaking of Christmas, by the way, what are your all's plans for the old holidays there in Chicago?
In Chicago, well, Christmas Eve is my family's big to do. It always has been.
Italian, yep.
Yeah. So, like typical Italian Americans, well, Southern Italian Americans, we do the Feast of the Seven Fishes on Christmas Eve. I think we may have talked about this last year too, right before Christmas. But anyway, so typically we all go over to my brother's and, my mom and my brother and my sister-in-law. I mean, everybody is involved somehow in making all of the fish dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And we eat a lot, we drink a lot, we laugh a lot. Sometimes we fight, but I mean, it's typical, right? So it really is. And it's my favorite holiday just because it's such a long-standing tradition. It's the one thing as we've gotten older and as my parents have gotten older and as I lost my dad, like that's the one thing that hasn't changed. And now my kids are just, they love it too.
Sure.
So I really can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I was, for those of you who don't know, I married into an Italian Catholic family. And so I experienced a lot of that same stuff there. And my kids certainly still do. Although Nana and Papa have since passed, and obviously their mother and I are divorced now. But yeah, I'm well aware of the feast, and I'm well aware of the Italian Catholic stuff. And I will say this, based on experience, your children are about the age where my kids and my nieces and nephews were sneaking too much wine. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy. Well, so far so good, right?
Fun times. Speaking of, I mean, this is obviously a music podcast. Do you guys have specific artists or traditional or even new Christmas music that you typically play? Is music part of the scheme there or not?
Usually, yeah. We like the classics. My brother and my mom, and I mean I am too, are huge fans of Darlene Love. So she gets played a lot. And then of course Dominic the Donkey. And then the like I said, the classics, like the really the religious ones too, like Oh Holy Night and Do You Hear What I Hear, those songs. And it's funny because Lucia and I were in the car the other night and we were just driving home and we started talking about Christmas songs and how they make us emotional and stuff. So we're in the car and we're like, let's play all the songs that make us cry, So she cries when she hears Phoebe Bridgers play Silent Night.
Yeah.
And You get a little emotional listening to Whitney Houston's "Do You Hear What I Hear" and Mariah Carey's "Oh Holy Night." Um, so yeah, those get played, and then the traditional, like, there's always Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, of course. I
Sure.
mean, we are the living stereotype, so that gets played in as well.
Well, those get played in non-Italian households as well. I'll
True.
reassure you on that.
Or I mean, I guess I wouldn't know, but
Well, I can attest to that. And I actually have 2 albums that I play every Christmas that really bring home Christmas for me. And I'm not an overly enthusiastic Christmas celebrator. I like it. It's great. It's fine. But I have this memory seared into my brain. My mother, I was probably 13 or 14 years old, which means my brother and sister were 2, 3, 4. Right.
oh,
So my mom is, trying to raise twins. So in her defense, she was exhausted all the
yeah,
time. My stepdad, I love the guy to death, but his job was always to prop up the kitchen counter drinking a Budweiser. Like that's what he did when he got home from work, and that's what he did. So when it came time to decorate the house for Christmas, my mother would sit on this little wicker stool that she had in the living room and smoke cigarettes and tell me where to put things. So I had to decorate all the stuff for Christmas,
mm,
and therefore I kind of resented the holiday. I didn't like it
sure.
because I had to do all, and she made me drag in the real Christmas tree, and the pine needles would stab the shit out of me. And then I would have to drag the motherfucker out when we were done, and they would stab me all over again. And then I'd have to go in and sweep up all the pine needles that died and fell off. And I just hated it. I just hated it. I didn't hate the holiday, but I
Yeah,
hated my role in my family's holiday. For
sure.
for several years there, that was a pain in the ass. But she and my stepdad, as I've mentioned before, had this really nice vinyl collection. And
Yes.
the 2 albums that really bring it home for me are Pretty Paper by Willie Nelson,
Mm,
which I have mom's original Pretty Paper album. Um, and so I love that album. And when I play that for the first time in December every year, I'm in the Christmas spirit. Like I get
mhm.
right back into the mode. And then the second one is kind of ridiculous, but it's cool. It's Christmas at Gillies, Mickey Gilly. And he
Oh,
took his hit song, Don't the Girls All Get Prettier Around Closing Time, and changed it to Don't the Girls All Get Prettier Around Christmas Time. And so Mickey Christmas at Gillies is the other album. And then there's several others that kind of mix in there. But those 2, which are very appropriate for our listeners in our Americana audience, are 2 that I constantly play. In fact, I know I will be playing some songs from those albums on Appalachian Echoes when I have my Christmas show here in a couple weeks. So
nice.
that's what we'll do. So and as far as plans go, Grant and Katie, this because I am eventually going to be in the spring selling the house
Mm.
that they grew up in. We're going to spend Christmas Eve in the house for the last time this year.
Oh,
So that'll be a little emotional and but it'll
sure.
also be good. And it's actually kind of really appropriate because my daughter turns 18 in April, and
Mhm.
Grant is 20. He'll be 21 in March. And so it's the house is going away. It's the last Christmas in the house, and it'll probably be the last Christmas for our lasting tradition of me sitting on the couch with them around me, and I read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to them before they go to bed
Ooh.
on Christmas Eve. So yeah, so it's going to be a last year for all of that probably. So it'll be a little emotional, but it'll be good
Oh,
too. It'll be good. So
that's sweet
yeah, it'll be fun.
and bittersweet.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitter in that sweet, but it's time and it's the right time. And Katie's going
Yeah.
off to college, and Grant's an adult-ish now, so he's kind of not really interested in hanging out with us anymore anyway, and so all that good stuff. So, but
Yeah.
it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. So anyway, welcome to Roots Music Rambler. She's Frank,
And he's falls.
and we're rambling on through the stories behind the music we love.
Today on the show, we're going to share an interview that Falls did back in September with Emily Jamerson. So she's been mentioned a bunch of times on the show. She's the younger sister of friend of the show, Nicholas Jamerson. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So he was our guest back the summer of this year. So Falls caught up with Emily at what was it, the Mountain Girl thing? Was
It was
that
the
where it was?
Manchester Music Fest was where I
That's
caught up
it.
with her first. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, yes. So, Falls caught up with her a few weeks after the episode with her brother aired. And we didn't get around to this interview to prep it until now.
Yeah, that I'll take the blame for that. I saw Emily at that Manchester Music Fest back on Labor Day weekend. We connected and did the interview a few weeks later, and then I featured her on Appalachian Echoes, the radio show, but I didn't follow through with making the interview ready for Roots Music Rambler, and I kind of forgot about it and got busy, and so it's my fault. But
Well, it
there it is.
happens, and it kind of makes up for the fact that you didn't let me participate in the interview, I guess.
Nice. For the record, I didn't try to schedule I don't try to schedule interviews so that Frank can't participate in them. But I don't it just works out that way, and I didn't want to miss the chance to adhere to Emily's schedule and get her on the line. So it wasn't
I know.
intentional. My bad. So
I know. I'm just giving you shit, of
well,
course.
of
That's my
course.
job.
Yes. Well, the interview was really interesting. Emily and I talked about her version of growing up in the Jamerson household, which we heard from her brother Nicholas when he was on the show. And of course, that household produced Nicholas Jamerson, the co-founder of Sundy Best, and what has turned out to be a pioneer in the underground sort of country artist scene. He's inspired folks like the Creekers and a lot of other bands that have come out of Eastern Kentucky in the last few years, and they all sort of tip their cap to him and say, Nick Jamerson showed us it could be done. So, she's got that legacy of following in his footsteps. And he actually, she talks about this in the interview, which I thought was really fascinating. He obviously gives her some advice, sort of formally and informally over the years, but he gave her a book not long ago that really helped her jump from being shy and kind of lacking in confidence about her music to being not so. So we kind of have him to thank for her being able to get up and start recording stuff and doing shows and whatnot. And it turns out that Emily Jamerson has turned out to be a hell of a songwriter, just like her brother, and a hell of a performer as well. So she is continuing to be bold and share her songs with the world.
That is excellent, and she does have such a beautiful voice and presence, so I'm glad you got to talk to her even if I wasn't a part of it, and that we get to share Emily Jamerson with everyone, so
Yeah.
this will definitely be a good one.
Indeed, it will be. And I'm not the only person who thinks this, because I've heard this from 2 or 3 other people. But the general buzz around the music scene in Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, and whatnot is that Emily Jamerson is going to be the next big thing. She's going to blow up soon, and is going to be the next big thing to come out of the mountains for the music world. Her songwriting is wonderful. Her confidence and stage presence just gets better each time out. I think we're either waiting on like another level up in a certain song or a group of songs, or an opportunity to get in front of a bigger audience so that more people can consume the music that she certainly has, for her to start, headlining shows and popping out hit records and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure what she's missing at this point. If anything, it might just be the pace with which she's going. But there's just this general feel around here that Emily is the next big thing. So really excited to have her on the show, and really excited, if you haven't heard of her or heard her music, to share a little bit of that with you on the show today. So with that, why don't we step out, refill our beverages, and settle in, because when we come back, the lovely and talented and delightful Emily Jamerson joins us. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Roots Music Rambler.
Some people say I'm too tall, I should cover up my grades.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. You just heard one of the latest singles from Emily Jamerson. It's one of my favorite songs of hers called Dried Paint. And she joins us on this episode of Roots Music Rambler from her home in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. Emily, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you again. I saw you down in
You too.
Manchester a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
excited to, I'm hoping to come to your hometown later in October to see you play at the Mountain Arts Center with Bill Taylor and the Appalachian Heathards and Jordan Lee King. That's going to be a fun night. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I am too. I don't get to play many shows in my hometown, so it's always nice when that works out.
Well, if I don't wish this on you, trust me, but I can tell you that if I ever did anything in Pikeville when I was younger, or if I did anything in Pikeville now, nobody would show up because everybody in town knows who I am. So it's like, we've seen that guy. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I know what you mean.
but that'll be a good night. That'll be fun. I bet you're looking forward to that. So you've been really, really busy. We're recording this sort of in late September, and let's see. I saw you in Manchester. You had just done something in Harlan before that. You did a Boondogs deal with Grayson Jenkins in Lexington. Love Boondogs, by the way.
Yes.
Then you played Irvin. Then you went down and did the Laurel Cove Americana thing in Nashville. You did something in Glasgow. You did the Bristol Rhythm and Roots deal. And this coming weekend, I see you're playing at the World Chicken Festival.
Heck yeah.
It's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Last night we were at dinner and I was with my parents and Nicholas, and somebody asked me what's been my favorite show, and I just was like, I don't even know what I've played. it obviously when I sit down and think about it, I can recall it all, but it's been a blur, but it's been a lot of fun.
I bet it is. I would think after that kind of schedule, you can't remember what you played where or what town they were in or anything. And I'm not making fun. I had never heard of the World Chicken Festival until I saw your schedule. It's in London, Kentucky. So
Apparently it's like a big deal. It's,
no offense to the Laurel County folks, but I hadn't
No.
heard of it, so it gave me the giggles when I saw it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad it's in Kentucky at least. That's good. So. Well, hopefully that'll be fun for you. So you mentioned you were out to dinner with your brother Nicholas. We obviously interviewed Nicholas here on the big show probably a couple of months ago now, and he told us a little bit about your all's growing up in a musical household. Carve out the order. I know that you've got I think 3 older brothers, so you're the youngest, I believe, or are you not?
I'm not.
You're
Nicholas,
not. Okay.
I'm not. Nicholas is the oldest, then me, and then we have 2 younger brothers.
Oh, okay. So you're a little older than the other 2. Okay. So,
Mhm.
but tell me a little bit, take me back to your first memories of music. Where did it start for you in that very musical household?
We sang in church in the children's choir, and took piano lessons starting at a young age, and then, just our grandparents, they played, and so we were around it. Our mom played the piano in church, and so it seemed like every direction we turned, there was music in some capacity. But I did not enjoy singing in the children's choir at church. Uh, I was pretty shy, and yeah, I would stand up there because I had to, and I would move my mouth, but nothing was coming out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I had a similar experience, although I was never shy, but I did sing in the choir at church, and I was in first grade and they gave me a solo, and I got so nervous that I made myself sick and couldn't do it. It was awful. I did not want to stand up in front of a room full of people and do that. I wanted to stand up and tell jokes. I didn't want to stand up and sing.
Did you end up singing though?
I did end up singing just a little bit, but I never, after about first grade, the first 2 weeks of piano lessons, I was like, this is not for me. I don't have the kind of skill set to do this. And I just, went and played sports and traded baseball cards and I was not musically inclined. I
Yeah.
love music, but I can't. I have no talent whatsoever. But you know, some people
Well,
get the cards and some people don't. But you didn't. So you didn't like children's choir. When did you start to like music and singing and all that good stuff?
I I liked it, but it was just one of those things that I was too afraid to be heard.
Mm.
And that just like as I got older, that's always something that I've struggled with. But like as I got older into high school, I started to get a little bit more confidence, but not much. Like I sang for what I had to sing for. And I didn't volunteer to sing any solos or to sing anything where anybody could actually hear me. And then I guess it was like the end of my senior year of high school. Nicholas and I, along with a couple of our friends, started a contemporary Christian rock band.
Okay.
Yeah, and Crosswalk was our name. And we did that for like a summer in between me graduating high school and starting college. And that was really the first time that I actually sang solos and sang like to where people could hear me. And I really don't know where it came from. The Lord, I guess.
Okay. Well, it's got to come from
But
somewhere.
yeah, yeah. But so
So, how instrumental was that experience in giving you kind of the confidence to do what you do now, or was there a gap between that and when you kind of said, "Oh, I'm going to go do this"?
definitely a gap. We did that. I sang, for like friends' weddings and but years went by and I just was wrapped up in, trying to build a career and a life for myself that wasn't something that I was really seeking out. And it was just, I would go to shows, Nicholas's shows or other friends' shows, and they would sometimes have me get up and sing with them, and doing that helps build my confidence. And it's like, oh, well, people don't think I suck too bad, and I enjoy this, so maybe I should just keep doing it. And it just kind of evolved from there. And yeah, I
So,
guess go
so
ahead.
was there an event or a moment or a day where it was like, okay, I've got to put this self doubt aside and just dive in?
Sort of a moment. It was back. I started writing songs. I guess it's been about 10 years ago, but I didn't like share them or anything. And um, I guess it's been about 5 years that I've actively been singing and writing and sharing, and that really did come from a moment. Um, there's this book that Nicholas gave me that I read called The Surrender Experiment. It's by Michael Singer. It's a book that I think that uh, is beneficial to everybody. But the basic premise of it, the author tells his life story of how he came to find yoga and meditation and how he discovered the voice in his head, the one that we all have, that spits out self-doubt and everything all the time. And so he was using meditation and yoga to learn to quiet that. And he set out on this lifelong experiment of surrendering to the flow of life, as he said it. So just like
Mm.
opportunities that came to him, even if he wasn't sure, even if he didn't understand it, if it felt aligned, he was just going for it. And he built this big community. He also built like I think it was computer software company. Anyway, I won't go into the whole story, but it basically, you know, that really just it inspired me because I was at that point, I was kind of at a crossroads in my life. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what I felt in my heart I wanted to do. And I had up to that point, I had just been so afraid of, whatever fear drives us. And I just was like, I'm gonna do that. It was like I'm gonna surrender, and I started, getting asked to play shows, and I just was like, I'm saying yes to everything, and I wasn't getting asked a lot, so it still felt very intentional, and um, that was really it. Like I just started saying yes to things and not really allowing it to stress myself out, and it has just all evolved into what it is now, which has been pretty remarkable when I think about the year that I've had, and I just I feel really grateful.
That's awesome. It's a similar thing. I learned mindfulness meditation probably about 12 years ago or so. And I got the Headspace app is how I started.
Mhm.
And I started learning the principles and the whole, for anybody who's never done meditation or doesn't know anything about it, essentially kind of what Emily was saying about this book is you learn to identify that voice in your head and realize that those are just thoughts. They're not real. It's not reality. It's just your brain saying, that's bad. That's good. You can't do that. You're not good enough. And you can tell those thoughts. The mindfulness thing that I learned was you can see those thoughts in your mind, hear them, think they're there. And you can say, you know what? You're welcome to stay, but you got to sit in the corner because I'm not going to listen to you today.
Right. You're not going to dictate my life anymore.
Exactly. And so once you start to control those negative thoughts and those second guessing and the self-image stuff, and you learn how to control it pretty regularly, it changes your whole life, your whole world.
Truly.
And so I'm glad it did for you because obviously without it, we wouldn't have such this great music to listen to.
Thank you.
I want to follow up a little bit more about your songwriting and a little bit more about your brother, although I know you're probably tired of talking about him in all these damn interviews. But before we do, I want to listen to a little bit more of your music. So let's take a break real quick. We're going to go out with the song Run, Run, Baby. It's Emily Jamerson, and this is Roots Music Rambler.
Baby, let's go for a drive and get out of town. Past the movies and Courthouse Street. We ain't looking to settle down. Turn left onto 114 toward the county line. Passing Jesus Saves bumper stickers left and right. But he can't save me from myself. I gotta get out, I gotta get some help. And run, baby, as fast as you can. Over the hills to the promised land. Don't look back and don't slow down. Keep on driving till you leave this town. Run, baby. The sun is shining and the sky is blue, but you don't even notice. You got your head in the clouds and a load on your back, and you feel like you can't do this. You are worthy of so much more than what you give yourself credit for. No one but you can make you believe you are worthy.
Welcome back to Roots Music Rambler. That song is called Worthy by Emily Jamerson. And Emily, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the first song you ever wrote. Is that right?
Officially.
Okay. Well, it's a damn good one. So
Thank
very
you.
impressive for your first try out there. How old is that song?
I wrote it, I think, in October of 2017.
Wow. Okay.
So I guess, was that 8 years ago?
Yep. That's a fur piece, as they might say back home. So good stuff. All right, so let's get back to the conversation here. Obviously, for those people out there who are living under a rock, your brother is Nicholas Jamerson, who's one half of the sort of legendary country duo Sundy Best, and he's obviously got a successful solo career in his own right. And I know you have mentioned a couple of times, and I think you even told me when we were just talking in Manchester that he obviously has had a big impact, and it would be hard to believe he couldn't have a big impact on your writing and your musical career. He gave you the book and whatnot. How much encouragement and sort of pushing you along did Nick do over the years to get you to do this, or was he just sort of that kind of silent brother out there that would just throw things at you every now and then and see what happened?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been supportive in whatever I do, but when it came to music, I mean, he's never inserted himself into it, but he's been a presence, answered any questions, and the deeper I've gotten into it, he's offered more uh without me having to ask, which I appreciate. Because, I feel like there's nobody better to mentor me on this path than him. But yeah, he's a good one. He's a dandy.
He certainly comes across that way, and I think you actually sung on his new album, did you not? I believe you
I
did.
did. I did. Yeah.
How was that experience actually being in the studio with him?
And we had been in the studio together before. I've sang some background vocals on previous records of his, and then he he co-produced those singles that I put out with Tom Nato. So he was in the studio and we did all that and very involved. But for this record, it was different because the songs were so deeply personal. And I remember we went down to, I think it was in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Um, and we, it was my very first take on Sunday Dinner, and I just burst into tears because it's a heavy song. And, there's a lot of emotion behind it. And I wasn't prepared for that. And I'm emotional and I cry pretty easily, but I wasn't, yeah, I just wasn't expecting that to happen, but it was good. I cried it out and I feel like we came out with something really special and I was happy with how it ended up sounding.
Yeah, I guess for a lot of people out there, it would be to consider that you're bearing your soul, in your songwriting to whomever you're writing the song for, maybe even if it's just writing for yourself. But then to turn around and give that to your sister or give that to your brother to read or hear and have them be a part of co-creating it, that's got to be strange for some people. Because I mean, the reason I ask these questions about Nicholas is because I've got a brother and sister, and the two of them can't stand me being in the same room with them.
Oh,
So, I mean, we love each other. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but we're very, very different. Of course, there's a 11-year age difference too, so that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
But I always wonder about sibling rivalries and whatnot, because that seems to be what my experience entails. It sounds to me like you and Nick maybe didn't have that as much.
Yeah. I mean, we fought, growing up. We're only 16 months apart. So, we've always been in the same friend group and been involved in the same things. And, we've fought, but, uh, now as adults, we've gone through all these shared lived experiences together, and we are very similar in how we deal with things and how we try to show up in the world. And I think just having those similar core values, it's kept us grounded and close to one another. And um, I have always and will always be his biggest fan. And we have two younger brothers. They're 30, no, I guess 32 and 35. So they're younger, and um it was always Nicholas and Emily and the boys. They got lumped in together. Uh, and they're also doing good things, and really proud of them as well. So I don't feel like there's ever really been any sibling rivalry with any of us.
That's good. I mean, that's good, strong family ties.
Yeah.
That says a lot about your parents, and the grandparents and the community you were raised in. So good for you. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we got good people around us.
So let's talk a little bit about songwriting. I'm curious about your approach. A lot of your songs are obviously personal experience, very introspective. There's a lot of songs that elevate some of those themes of self doubt and dealing with it. What's your songwriting process like? Is it journaling? Is it sitting with the guitar and playing? How do you come up with the songs that you come up with?
I think it's a little of both. I try to write and journal a little bit every day. Um, but I feel like I do write better when I'm in a state of maybe not sorrow, um, some sadness. I definitely think there is an underlying tone of sadness or longing in a lot of my music, and that is just based off of my experiences, and I think just being the emotional person that I am, it helps me to process those feelings just by writing them, and I've always been that way. And I feel like the songs that have been like the most profound to me, or like the heaviest hitters, or like emotional releases, I don't know, or maybe all those things have come pretty easily.
Hmm.
Like Worthy, I wrote in one sitting, probably 20 or 30 minutes. It
Wow.
just, it just, that was just what I was feeling, and I wrote it down, and I tried not to overthink it, and that's what it became. Um, so I don't really know. I'm still very new at songwriting, and I don't want to pretend like I have some profound like recipe for a good song. It's just I know how to listen to my heart and what I'm feeling, and I think that's really at the foundation of my writing, and not being afraid to expose myself in that way.
Something that your brother actually said. As you were talking, I just recalled him saying this. He actually said it several times on the interview we did with him, and it was when he was talking about writing. He kept saying, "This is my work. This is my job. This is what I do." And it seemed to be a real, I guess, level of experience and maturity for him to say, "Hey, it's not about it's not necessarily about processing emotions. It's not necessarily about telling stories. This is my job, man. This is what I do
Hmm.
for a living. I sit down and craft this." I wonder
Hmm.
if you've gotten to that same point yet, or if that's still to come, maybe.
Um, I think still to come. I think I've made progress over the years, and I can look back on my process, and I feel like it's a little more refined, but I still, I feel like it's a never ending journey, just like everything, like life is. We should always be growing and evolving and getting better, and I hope that a year from now that I can look at my songwriting and think that there's been some improvement, and uh yeah, and some improvement.
Very good. So I know that you've gotten a couple. You mentioned a couple of the singles that have been released this year or in the last year. I think Nicholas was involved in producing those. I know "Dried Paint," "Run Run Baby" are among those. Do you, I have to ask this of every guest. Do you have an album in the works? What can we expect from you in the near future?
um that's been discussed. I think that maybe in the next year we'll get in the studio, hopefully. that we've been talking about that. But in the meantime, I do have some other projects that are coming out this year with
Okay.
some friends.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I won't say what, but one involves the Jenkins twins,
All
and
right.
one, I guess technically two, but one won't come out till after the first of the year. But two things to come out with Grayson Jenkins.
Awesome. Well,
So
we love
yeah,
Grayson Jenkins. I actually met him at the Monarch here in Louisville a couple of years ago, and have loved watching him, kind of
he's great.
rise here in the last year.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Well, excellent. I'm glad we've got some good stuff to look forward to, and hopefully you'll get in the studio and we'll have one of them big full daggone albums to throw on the turntable here pretty soon
Oh
from
yeah, I
Emily
hope
Jamerson.
so.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Well, please do enjoy the World Chicken Festival, and please report back. I need to know
I
more about
will.
this.
I will. I'll take extensive notes and pictures and send you a summary at the end of the evening.
That would be great. I mean, I do love a good chicken, so who knows? I might need to come down there. So that'd be fun.
It's
Anyway,
apparently the place to be and a big deal, so you
well,
may
I
need
mean,
to come down there.
they got Emily Jamerson playing, so it's something. That's good.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dark hair and honey brown eyes. She looks a little like me when she smiles. With a freckle on her lip and a swinging in her hip, she's the prettiest thing alive. Of all the things that I have done, running around just for all the gigs I've had, my favorite one is the one my brothers gave to me when I became an enemy.
How about that Emily Jamerson, folks? Good stuff. Just a fun conversation. I'm sorry it took me so long to turn that around for everybody to experience. And Emily's just an absolute delight. As you heard in the interview that was done before, I went to see her play in her hometown at the MAC, and she just crushed it that night with Bill Taylor and the Appalachian Heaters and Jordan Lee King. Got to chat with her a little bit after that show as well. And so she's just a delight to be around and have conversations with, and I love her music, and I think she's the next big thing to come out of Kentucky. So if you haven't dug into Emily Jamerson yet, please go do that.
For sure. And I know you have been high on her for such a long time.
Yep.
So I'm glad this finally happened.
That's true. All right, it's time for our Picking the Grinning segment. Besides Emily Jamerson, we're going to tell you who we've been listening to lately that we're picking as who's making us grin. It could be an artist. It could be a song. It could be an album. And for all, it could be show tunes. We don't know. But we'll come up with something to recommend for you to go dig into outside of your time of digging into Emily Jamerson. And so, Frank, why don't you go first for our little pre-Christmas episode? What you
All
picking to
right.
grin this week?
Well, in keeping with the theme of Christmas, and we talked at the open about music that we listen to on and around Christmas, and I shared what my family listens to, right? Because like any other time we're all together, I am not allowed to control the music. So I have to listen to this stuff kind of on my own. But one album that Christmas album that I absolutely love, and it's an old one. It's like 35 years old. It is probably my favorite, and it is called Poets and Angels by musician Ottmar Liebert. So he is a German musician. I believe he's German. Yes. He's a German musician who plays Spanish guitar.
Okay.
And the album is completely instrumental, and it is absolutely beautiful. So
Okay.
my friend and former partner when I was dispatching with Chicago police, um, my former partner, Patrick, introduced me to the album. He gave me a burned copy of the CD, 20 some years ago. And I've been listening to it every Christmas since. And it's so beautiful. And and I've talked about this before. I'm not one usually for instrumental music. I like the lyrics. I'm into the songwriting. But with Christmas songs, there's some leeway there. And just it's fascinating though that it's one man making bringing these songs to life,
Hmm.
and it sounds like there are a bunch of different instruments being played, and it's just it really is beautiful, and it's yeah, I just appreciate the creativity and the talent.
Awesome. I love it. What's his name again? Otmer?
Otmer Liebert.
Otmer Liebert. Okay, we'll make sure that there's links to his stuff in the old show notes there at rootsmusicrambler.com. I almost feel guilty now that I haven't followed the theme with the holiday music, but I'm going to recommend a band to everyone that I saw play live back in April. And as we're recording this, coincidentally, last night, unfortunately, we lost Raul Malo, the lead singer and founder of the Mavericks, who passed away after a long battle with cancer. And on the night that I got to see the Mavericks and Raul Malo for the first and unfortunately only time, the intro or the opener that night for the Mavericks and Dwight Yoakam was Jason Scott and the High Heat. And I remember getting there, what I thought right after the doors were opened and walking into Iroquois Amphitheater, and there's this band on stage. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know there was an opener before the Mavericks. I thought the Mavericks were the opener. And so I was a little frustrated that I didn't get there in time for their opening set, but they were probably in their first or second song. No idea who they were. They didn't have any signage on stage. And of course, I missed them being introduced if they were introduced. So I had to ask around to find out who these guys were, because literally 60 seconds into the first song, I'm like, I dig these guys. They're good. And it happened to be Jason Scott and the High Heat. Now, they've been around for a few years. I think their first album was back in 2022, maybe something like that. But I would liken them to a Silverado or maybe even a little bit of Bottle Rockets. They're kind of like a honky tonk band with this like almost kind of Texas tough guy, but sense of humor and whatnot as well. They've got a new newish single out. Actually, it's two songs on an EP rather than a single. One's called Too Good, Too Bad. And the other one's called Cowboy Cold Beer. And they're just these like really kind of kick-ass country Southern rock, fun songs with fun lyrics. And I just dig them. They remind me a lot of Silverado and maybe the Bottle Rockets. And those two bands are kind of in my wheelhouse of who I like to listen to. And I recently, probably 2-3 weeks ago, just put on all of their stuff in the car as I was driving around, and there wasn't a bad song that came out of those speakers, man. I was like, yeah, I like these guys. And our buddy, Tim Parks, who manages the Creekers and also is the guy behind the Manchester Music Fest. He actually posted on Facebook or somewhere today that he has said you're going to see a lot more of two bands next year, especially in Kentucky, hint, hint, wink, wink. And one of them was Jason Scott and the High Heat. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's booked them for Manchester Music Fest or if he's managing them, or I don't know what that infers, but I'm excited because I think they're awesome. And I think you guys should go check them out, and they're probably going to be playing close to me sometime next year. So hopefully they'll be playing close to you guys too. Jason Scott and the High Heat, fun group to listen to. So there you go.
Very nice. I'll check them out.
Yeah, they're good. We'll make sure there's links to them and Otmer and all that good stuff in the old show notes there at rootsmusicrambler.com. Remember, if you're ever looking for an episode of Roots Music Rambler, you can use our short URL and the guest name to get to it. So if you're like, hey, I want to go back and listen to that Emily Jamerson episode again, it's rootsmusic.link/Emily Jamerson. If you want to hear her brother's episode, it's rootsmusic.link/Nicholas Jamerson. If you want to hear the episode with the Creakers, it's rootsmusic.link/the Creakers. So
Funny how that works.
yeah, we've kind of set up a little system, and we've set it up because I'm a dumb guy and can't remember anything. So we set up a pattern so that I could remember the pattern. If I can remember the pattern, and I can plug in the equation, right? That's how that works.
Sure.
The only time in my life I'll ever use the word equation in a sentence. So 'cause math is not my friend either, but that's what we've done there. I guess the last thing we got to do is wish everybody a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, it's already started. So happy Hanukkah. If you're into the Festivus with the rest of us, then is it Happy Festivus or Merry? I don't know what it is.
I don't know,
Fuck
but
it.
there's a poll involved or something.
It's fucking Festivus. How about that? So just
fucking Festivus. There you go.
fucking Festivus. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa if you're a Kwanzaa person. If you don't celebrate anything, I hope you're having a wonderful December. How
That
about
too.
That good?
Perfect.
That's good. All right. And Frank, Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope the kids don't get too drunk.
Me too. Oh my goodness. And Merry Christmas to you and yours, Jason.
Thank you.
Yes, another year in the books for Roots Music Rambler, and I couldn't be more thrilled. So thank
Yeah.
you.
We're still kicking.
Still kicking, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Roots Music Rambler is a production of Falls and Partners, copyright 2025. Our theme music is Sheepskin and Beeswax by Gentacorum. Join us online at rootsmusicrambler.com and make sure you mash that subscribe or follow button so you remember to join us for the next Hold Down and Throwdown. She's Frank.
And he's Falls.
And whatever you do, kids, ramble on. Ho, ho, ho.